Hello everyone and welcome to Makeover Monday 2023 Watch Me Viz for week 3. Just a quick note, there is no Viz review this week. Eva is not able to do it this week, so hopefully she'll be back next week. For those of you that are new here, my name is Andy Kriebel. I am the global head coach of the Data School, and I created this channel to help you become great at Tableau. So please don't forget to click on subscribe. And if you enjoy what you're seeing today, if you learned something, please give it a like. That helps other people find it as well. The more people that find this, the more people I can help, and the more resources I can put into the channel. So today we are looking at data about interstate and cross-border migration patterns. The data comes from Atlas Van Lines. And if I go to the original visualization here, we can see that, for example, Wyoming, we've got 58% outbound shipment and 42% inbound. So I'm going to look here. Let's see. So we've got a color code here. So inbound is more than 55%. Red for outbound if outbound is more than 55%. So those are shipments moving in or out of the states. If you have any questions along the way, please feel free to post them in the chat, and I will get to those as soon as I can. And let me see here. So let me share my screen. And again, here's the original visualization. Red means more than 55% of the shipments are outbound. Blue means more than 55% are inbound. And balance means anything else, so between 55 inbound and 55 outbound. Okay, great. So really simple visualization. I think it's quite easy to understand. It does give us some interesting regional patterns. So if we look at the red, so more than 55% are outbound. So you can see we've got this really big cluster here in the kind of north central US. And it looks like things are being shipped out of there. Now, it doesn't actually say what is being shipped. At least I don't believe so. Let's see. Okay. Okay. Well, this is a moving company. So yeah. So I guess it does. It means people are leaving some of the most affordable areas like Iowa, Indiana, and Illinois. Let's see. Okay. So let's see here. So we've got, where is that? Yeah. So Iowa, Illinois, Indiana. So these are the ones that are in red are the ones that people are moving out of. The ones that are blue means that people are going to those. So it looks like people are moving to the south. I don't know what YK is. I'm not quite sure what YK is. So you can see that people are moving to the south. You can maybe assume they're moving from the north central, but really interesting that you've got these big clusters of areas. Maybe people are tired of the really cold winters. The weather's getting worse in the north in the winters, it seems, but we're also seeing the weather's getting really worse and more volatile in the south. So it's interesting to see those patterns. So we'll see. Okay, so the data set itself, we've got this data. We've got country, state, year, and then inbound and outbound. So really, really simple. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to start by double clicking on country to give us a map. I'm just going to try to reproduce the original, and then double click on state. And I'm going to go ahead and make it a map. And what I want to do now is I'm going to create the same classifications that they did. So I'm going to create a new calculated field, and I'm just going to call it, let's see, inbound or outbound. Outbound. And our formula here is going to be, more than 55% moving into, so if inbound is greater than, so more than 55%, I believe it said. Yep. So we want to say if that's greater than 0.55, then inbound. Else if inbound, let's see, else if outbound is greater than 0.55, then outbound, oops, messed up here. else, and what are they calling the other one? Balanced. And then end. Okay, so let's hit OK, and let's drag that to the color shelf. And so we want to go with probably the same colors that they have. So I'm going to see if I can actually pick their colors. So let me inspect their page, and let's see if I can actually find their colors here. So this is just an image, so I will not be able to get the exact colors, but inbound. So let's go ahead and make the inbound, and I'm going to just pick the color off of the screen. Let's see, why is it not letting me click the screen? Okay, so something's going on now with my keyboard. Okay, it's not letting me switch. All right, so something's wrong here. So let me bring this back up. It's not letting me switch. Maybe my keyboard is dead. Give me 1 second. Just switch the charger for my keyboard. 1,000 cables here, all getting tangled into each other, which is just wonderful. Okay, maybe that's it. Let's see if that's the problem. Okay, so still not working. Something's wrong with my keyboard now. Excellent. Wonderful. Let me go to, oh, what the heck. Okay, let me go to, sorry about this, I just gotta check and see why my keyboard's not working. Keyboard. Okay, so let me disconnect. It's not even disconnecting. Okay, there we go. So let's connect back to the keyboard again. And now it's connected. Okay, so maybe that will do it. Okay, great. Okay, so inbound, we want to make that the blue. It's a very bluish blue. And the outbound, we want to make the very reddish red. And then the balanced, we're going to make the gray. Okay, and okay. Okay, so we got something like that. Tableau does automatically reduce the opacity. Oh, I need to look at a, okay, so this is actually looking at across all of the years. So I'm going to make my year discrete, and I believe this is just for 2022. So let's filter to 2022. Okay, there we go. So now we've got the same type of visualization as them. Okay, so I'm going to maybe put a white border on instead, and I'm going to format the view. Oops, wrong thing. I'm going to format my background layers, and I'm going to just wash it all the way out. That way I get just the nice background there. And then on our labels, so they've got the state, they have the abbreviations, which we don't have yet, but let's see if we can make do. So I'm going to put those on label. Okay, so that's not going to work. Okay, so inbound and outbound, they're putting those on label. And these actually should probably just default to an average. Okay, and then let me set the default number format to be a percentage to 0 decimals. Okay, and then in the label, they're now putting this line. Okay, so I need to get state abbreviations from somewhere. But one of the things I did notice while we were, when I posted this, is this beautiful shapefile by Sarah Battersby. And if you go to Tableau, to the link, it has this nice spatial file that includes Canada, and it looks like it has the abbreviations as well. So I'm going to try to join to that. So I'm going to edit my data source, and I'm going to add a new data source. It's a spatial file. I need to go to, where is it? My drive. Data sources, US, Canada, and then shape. Okay, so what does this data set look like? So it has the state, the country, the state, and the abbreviation. Okay, great. So if I bring this in here, I'm probably, I don't think Tableau is going to match because, let's see, state or province, we want that to match to state. But I think what's going to happen here is if I put state or province here and then I put state, oh, okay, it did match them. Interesting. I would have expected it to not match because they weren't in the same case. Okay, well, good enough. Okay, so what we want to do then is we're going to put state abbreviation on the label. And then I'm going to go ahead and edit my labels. So we've got, if I go back to the original, we've got state abbreviation, and then the, oh, which one is first? Oh, outbound is on the top and inbound's on the bottom. Okay, so then it's got kind of like a dashed line here. And this one is in bold. And then let's make them all maybe 8-point. How's that? Oh, okay, so definitely way too many of these. And the dashed lines actually look pretty terrible, but okay. And what's strange is that I don't like how there's like big gaps in between the, yeah, okay. I don't really like how this turned out, but that's okay. Let me now look at this shape file. So I'm just going to double click on geometry. I'm going to put state abbreviation onto label. Okay, and then the year 2022, I want to bring in my color. Where's my color? Okay, and then again, I'm going to format the background layers and reduce that to 0, or sorry, increase it to 100. All right, so again, if you have questions along the way, please feel free to leave them in the chat and I'll do my best to get to them. The colors still don't look quite right. Mine aren't bright enough, actually. There we go. Now they are. And then I'm going to set the border to maybe white again. And now we can see those patterns. If I put the inbound and outbound onto label, we now get all three things. And let me just double check that they're in the right order. So state abbreviation. And then let's do this. And then let's maybe make it 8 and make this one bold. And then let's make the font, make it 8 and let's make it white. Okay. Okay, so that looks better. So which value is this? Filter. Oops. I want to see. I'm missing something here. It's interesting because the hex file. Okay, they are slightly off. Okay, good enough. Okay, so we get something like that. What's interesting is it looks quite different than this map. I'm going to filter to just the US for now. I know I shouldn't, but I just want to look at the difference between the two maps. And then I'm going to exclude Canada. And then let's exclude Hawaii. Oh, sorry, not Canada, exclude Alaska. Okay, I'm just trying to zoom in on the map a bit to compare the two. So Texas, okay. So I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to now, let's see. So I think I'm just going to try a couple of different visualizations here. So again, I'm going to put that on label and then copy formatting, paste formatting. Oh, okay. I was hoping that this would remove the background layer again or wash out the background layer. All right, so what I want to do now is, let's see. So let me show a filter for that. And I'm going to make this I want to uncheck show all. And I'm going to make it let's just make it a slider maybe. Okay, so then if I put, let's see, that's not going to work very well. Okay, forget that. I want to make a little what's it called? Trellis chart. So I do have some cheat notes here, which I will link to in the description for the in the description of the video. So I just need 2 fields here. So let's create a new calculated field, and we're going to call this one rows. This one is columns. Let's get rid of that, and then both of these need to be discrete. So columns, rows. So this needs to be continuous and put onto let's see here. Sure dimension. Okay, let's put this onto detail. Make sure dimension is above date on detail. Okay, so let's configure the table calcs now. And we want to do so dimension, then date, and then at the level state. Okay, and let's do this again for the rows. Okay, so, well, that didn't work pretty well. So it just broke it up by state. Well, that was a bit of a fail. Let me look at this again. I think I just have it backwards. Okay, there we go. So now I've got them all. Let's just move this to detail. And then I'm going to put my inbound or outbound onto color. And then, okay, so this is Puerto Rico, Virgin Islands. Let's remove that from the tooltip. Okay. So what we should be looking at here is 2013, 14. Oh, let's see. Okay. So I think this might need to be an attribute. Just playing around with some configurations here. Okay, so that's still not right. Okay, 14, 15, 16. Okay, so now I got it right. Okay, so this is the this is each year here. I don't think it looks particularly great. Let me show the headers again. So if I shrink this down and then show header, I'm just going to try to make it fit in the view a bit better. Okay. Right. So now I've created like a small multiples view, but it doesn't really tell me a lot. I find it quite difficult to understand. So, okay, so let's keep going. So geometry, actually, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just duplicate and get rid of that, get rid of that. Okay, get rid of year. Okay, so okay, so let's put this onto label. And now what I want to do is I'm going to, let's see if I can make this work. I'm going to put geometry on here again, but this one I'm going to make a line, and then year is on path. And that didn't work. Okay. Right. All right, I'm going to try joining to yet another data set because there's a different type of view I want to build. So let's do more. And let's see, so this is I think this is the right one. Okay, so let's see what this looks like. So state abbreviation column. Okay, yeah, this is what I'm looking for. So let's drag that out. And then this one, we want to connect the state or province to the state. Okay. So what I want to build now is, so these both need to be discrete. Put column here, oops. And then they both also need to be dimensions. So put column here, row here. Okay, so now you can sort of see the shape of the US here. And now I'm going to put my year in the columns, make it a line. And I need to put abbreviation onto detail. Yeah, so now we should just have one. Okay, that's good. And then I want to put my, where is my value? Okay, inbound here. And I want to put my outbound as a combined axis. And we get this sort of view. So Alaska, so this must be, this is Canada here. So those aren't in the data set. So I'm going to have to exclude Canada. Why am I still getting nulls? Okay. Huh. Okay. Not quite sure why. So I'm going to just exclude the nulls. Okay, so now we can see each state. I'm going to change my axis to go from 0 to 1. Because we know these are percentages. And so this is one view that I could do. So let me format the view. And no grid lines, no zero lines. Okay, and then I'm going to change the colors. So inbound was, let's see here, inbound is this reddish color. Okay, so CD 1141. Okay. And then the blue is probably one of these here. Okay, so let's see if it gives you the color. Okay, here we go. Okay, so that's the blue color. Wow, that's much brighter. That can't be the right color. That seems way too bright. Maybe it's this one. Try this color instead. Okay, that looks better. Okay, so now we've got our inbound and our outbound. And and then what we could do is we need to have each state in here. So how many years do we have? We have 10 years. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a I want to create a new calculated field, and I'm going to call it label position. I want to get the abbreviation for each state in the background. Okay. All right. Okay, so what I want to say here is, so if the year is equal to 2017, then let's just make it like 0.9. Okay, so now what should happen, hopefully, if I make this a dual axis and synchronize, then what I want to do here, so let's take measure names off of here, put abbreviation on label. Okay, and let's make this text. Right, so now we get the, now we have the label for each state in there as well. Okay, so this is one view. So let me uncheck show header, make it fit entire view. Okay, and then we can hide the headers. Right, so that's one way to look at it. So Michael, you mentioned in the chat that the line view is not very helpful as they mirror each other. They do mirror each other, but it's just, you know, cosmetics, depends on what you're kind of looking for. So let me duplicate this, but I'm going to change it to an area chart this time. And now I think that looks better than the, let me increase that. I think the area chart looks better than the line chart. And let me just change this mark type again to a circle, and then reduce the size and reduce the opacity, and then let's make the label white. Okay. Okay, so that gives us each state then. And what does my year values go to? They go from 20, let's see, we got 2013 to 2022. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my year field to be a decimal. And now that fills up the view a bit more. So I kind of like how that looks now. And then I just need to format. Where's my default properties? Number format. Current. And that. Okay, there we go. So that looks good. Column, not in the tooltip, not in the tooltip. So abbreviation year. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put both inbound and outbound onto the tooltip. So that way you get both values in there. And then I'll also put the state or province on the tooltip. Okay. Okay. Curious to know what you think of this. I think this one looks decent. I am missing Canada though. That's the only problem. But I just don't have it in my file. But I wonder if I go back here and I change this to a square. Let me just put this on detail. And if I make these bigger, what happens? So we get a bit closer. Border, none. Well, what I would ideally like to do is to put those lines inside of these squares. But I don't know how to do that. Because if I put year here, it's going to split up the view. Which I don't want to do. So I'm not quite sure how to fix that. So I'll probably just stay with something like that. Okay, so let me format the view and get rid of my row dividers, get rid of my column dividers. And then my abbreviation is not in the tooltip. And then this label, so the labels are ever so slightly off center. So I'm gonna make them right aligned. Okay, so that didn't do anything. Okay, that's fine, I'll just switch it back to automatic. Okay, so what do you think of, so Michael, you like that better, that's good to hear. I would probably now hide the header for the years. And let's see. And then let's clean up the tooltips. So on this one, I want to have no tooltips. Let's just get rid of that. And then on this one, tooltip. So we don't want country. Okay, so that looks, I think that looks okay. That's not bad. There's probably not really a ton you can do with this data set. Let's just try, let's put inbound, and if we put state onto detail, again, it doesn't really tell us a whole lot. So we have no data for some of these. What if I get rid of Canada? Yeah, I mean, it's not very useful. So yeah, I think I might just stick with this. I just kind of like it. It's nice and simple. What if I put a white border back on? Oh yeah, that looks better with the border, definitely. Yeah, definitely better with the border. The only problem now is these are going to look like American colors. So while working on this, I noticed some states remain mostly inbound or outbound. The variation of balanced states over the year. I don't know what you mean by the variation of balanced states. I mean, you could just do the difference between inbound and outbound. So let's just call it, I'm just going to do, let's just do inbound minus outbound. And I'm going to duplicate this, and instead of that, I'm going to have that there. Yeah, so this is going to, so this is now going to show you the inbound versus the outbound difference. I don't know if that's what you mean, Rushil. Yeah. So this is going to show the difference between the inbound and the outbound. But what we could probably do here is, if I put this on here again, and okay, so we have, and let's make this go from, so we want to go from 0 to automatic, let's say. No, this one to go from 0 to 1, and then this one should go from, oops. Let's change this one to go from -1 to 0. Okay, so now if I make this an area chart as well, and let's get rid of the borders. Okay, what's the biggest value? 63. Okay, let's maybe try it to go from 0.7. Okay, and then what we could do is we could put, so if the difference is negative, that means that outbound is bigger than inbound. So let's put difference onto color. Let's see, I'm just going to create a new calculate field. So if it's bigger than 0, we want to do our red color. And what do we say our red color was? CD1141. And then the false is okay, let me find the color again. I think it was this one. No. Yeah. Okay. Yes, and not particularly useful. Okay, I was hoping it might give us something interesting, but that doesn't really work very well. Rashil, sorry, I meant some states go from balanced to inbound or balanced to outbound over the years. Okay, so some go from balanced to inbound. Okay, so what we could maybe do then is if we put a reference band on, let's see, we want to do it for each pane for measured values. So let's say we go from, let's do a constant and a constant. So the top value is going to be, nope, let's see, no label. What am I doing here? There should be a constant. So let's make this 0.55. And then let's make this one 0.45. Oh, wait, 55, yeah. And let's say no label, no tooltip. Yeah, but see the problem now is the stupid, it goes behind the bars. It goes behind the labels, so it's dumb, I hate that. Let's just make it a line, constant, so. Maybe we could do something like this. So this could be maybe our boundaries, our lower and upper bounds. But they're way too thick. Let's try this. Yeah, maybe something like that. So that would be our 0.55. And if we bring on another constant line for measure values, let's make that one 0.45. Let's format. We want it to be, let's see, what do we do? Something like that. Okay, the formatting's not quite right. Okay, so it's the bottom gray. Let me remove that. Okay, so that shows, I don't know if that's what you mean, Rashil. This will kind of help us see. So for example, what could be one state that's moved from, so North Dakota, for example, went from inbound to balanced, something like that. I think that's what you mean. The only problem with that is it feels a bit busy to me. So I think, yeah, I think I'm going to duplicate this, and I'm going to, let me just remove one of these, and let me edit. No label, but I'm going to make it 0.5 instead. I do think it's useful to have maybe a label on here, or sorry, a line on here, but probably just for the 50% line. I don't know what you think about that instead. Yeah, because then that helps kind of set the upper and lower bounds. So I think I like that. Okay. Inbound, outbound. I almost feel like the color should be the other way around. What if we switch the order of these? Should blue be at the top and red at the bottom? I guess it doesn't really matter. Okay, so I think I like this one so far. And I might just go with that to be done. Again, it excludes Canada, which isn't great. But I just don't have that in this particular data set. So we did the small multiples view. That didn't really work very well. This is kind of like the original, except we need to show the filter. And let's change it to discrete. Oh. And I think I had this as a slider. So again, doesn't, need to get rid of the all option. Okay, so this lets you cycle through them, but it doesn't really tell me a whole heck of a lot because it's sort of hard to follow the patterns, I think. But anyway, I think it looks kind of interesting. So I think I'm going to go with this one. So let me build a dashboard. I don't think I need to worry about containers or anything like that. So I'm just going to, because it's only one sheet. So let me just drag this on. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to, actually, no, I do want to. Let's remove the phone layout. And I'm just going to bring this in. Actually, I probably could just bring this in. So let's say 0, 0, 1. Okay, and then let's set the outer inner padding to 20. Okay, so could I maybe do something like this? So if I hide the title, unfortunately it doesn't resize. So maybe I could do something like that, where it acts as like a color legend. Okay, and then I need to show the caption, so I can put my credits in here. So let's make this 8, center, data source is Atlas van lines. Created by. Okay. Something like that. All right, but so let me make a better title here. So let's look back at the article. So we could just say, where is America moving? According to one, we'll just call it, oops. Atlas van lines, migration patterns. Okay. And I just want to match their font. So this is Montserrat. And then what is this one here? Okay, Montserrat. Okay, so format. And let's change the font to Montserrat. I know it's not supported by Tableau Public, but that's okay. I don't care. And I'm going to make the whole thing. I don't like how these aren't quite square, so I'm going to in the dashboard, make it maybe, let's see if we shrink it down a bit. Okay. Right, so now I want to bring these closer together left to right. So I'm going to show my header. And now I can play around with this a bit. So I want this to go from, let's see. And then, okay, there we go. So now those are together nice and neat. So we can hide that now. And I think we're pretty good. Yeah. So maybe I could even, if I just rename this as inbound, I think what I'm going to do, so let me write it the other way. So I'm going to call this people moving in. Alias people moving out. I think that makes a bit more sense than what it was before. Okay. You could probably use the pages shelf to make an animation against the ears. Yeah, you could. So I think what you're referring to, Daniel, is this one. Let me go back. Gotta find it. Okay, this one here. So I could use pages. Yeah. But now we've got a problem here where some of these don't have a year. So when I play these, yeah, I don't think it works particularly well. Yeah, I don't really like that. So let me just pick 2022. Yes, I probably wouldn't do that in this case. Right, so I think I'm going to call it quits there. Pretty quick one this week. Hopefully you found it useful. I kind of like how this turned out. People moving into the, people moving in, people moving out. I could even call this, maybe I should call this where are, what do they call this here? But we can't really say where is America moving because we don't necessarily know where the start and the end are. So yeah, I think maybe I'll just leave it the way it was. Atlas van lines, migration patterns. Where are Americans moving? Which states are Americans moving into and out of? Okay. So let me make this a tiny bit bigger again. And then move this down. Okay. So hopefully that works when I publish this up to Tableau Public. Who knows? So I'm going to extract the data. Okay, save. Let's see. Would be a good name for this. I'm going to call this. Okay, good enough. And then let's see how this looks when I publish it up to Tableau Public. And now it's frozen, which is just wonderful. Very annoying. And now it will prompt me for the, see, why doesn't it prompt me for the sign in initially? It's so stupid. Jeez, I can't type. Oh, I have no idea what my password is. No, it's not in here. Okay, it should be G. Well. Ah. So what is likely going to happen now is, oh, okay, it stayed where it was. I'm shocked by that. So, and the highlighting works. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. It's weird. There's like tiny tick marks above these. It's really weird. Let me go back here. They're not there. Let me see if I can zoom in and show you. Maybe I'm going crazy here. You can see there's tiny little tick marks above all of the states. See the tiny little red marks above the states? That is definitely not there in my version on Tableau desktop. So more frustrations. Okay, thank you everybody for tuning in. Let me see here. Oops. Okay, I appreciate you all tuning in. If you learned something today, please give this a like. If there's anything you'd like to see me create, please leave a comment and I can have a look at that as well. I am working on a few videos. I've been a bit slack on getting my weekly tips out, but there is life at times too. Very, very busy at home right now. But I am still trying to do YouTube Shorts, so if you aren't a subscriber, go ahead and click on subscribe because I'm putting out a 1 minute tip just about every day. I was doing it on the weekends as well, but I've now decided I'm just going to do it during weekdays. So subscribe, check out those shorts every day, and I hope you learned a lot along the way. Thanks.